Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Wherever you're joining us from, good morning. Happy to have all of you on the live this morning. Our FYI family, we hope that you all are good. We hope that you all are well. Wherever you're joining us from this morning, thanks for joining the broadcast. Good to have you folks here. Share the line for us. Smash that emoji button. We can talk a couple of things, folks. Then we're out of your hair so that you can go ahead and have a great day. Good to have all of you on the live. Rena and Wayne and I see Melanie is here and Tommy. Good to have all of you this morning. I don't know why I'm seeing the handles as against the names for the YouTube folks. I'm seeing the handles. I don't know why I'm not seeing the full names alone. But it is what it is. Good morning, Lynn and Everett and Allison. Good morning, Quasi and Rena, Beryl and Brian and all the other folks who are joining us this morning. Share the broadcast for us. Smash that emoji button as well. Good to see you folks. The night is far spent. They got two important things I saw published today that I want to refer to because it's independent of us. Auntie Sandra, how are you doing? I heard you in the diaspora, girl. I was made to understand you're in the diaspora. Joy, she gonna leave you, girl. Auntie Sandra, enjoy, Auntie Sandra, enjoy. Good to have you on the live this morning, Auntie Sandra. Yeah, it's good to have a change of scenery every now and again, you know. It's good to have a change of scenery. That's how we can have a change of scenery just now in the government too. You know, change of scenery. Good morning, folks, wherever you're joining us from. Yvonne Ramasar, good to have you here. Simone Graves and all the other folks who are joining us. Dolly, good to have you, Dolly. Paulette and all the other guys joining us this morning. Good to have you on the live today. Today. Great to have you all. You know, one of those very, very important piece of writings saw published today is an editorial in today's Cyber News. Fantastic editorial that talks about the sugar industry broadly, where it's coming from, where it is, and where it's going. And I know the PPP, they're gonna like this editorial too much, right? Because it's very harsh on their quote-unquote governance, very, very harsh. And history gonna remember this PPP very harshly. You know, history gonna remember them very harshly. And the header for this editorial is Gaisuko and political fanfare. Yeah, they like cut ribbon and, you know, that's their mission accomplished. They like turn sad and so on. Gaisuko and political fanfare is the title of this editorial in today's Starbuck News. I made a little comment on it on my Facebook profile. I think there's an article on it too on Credible Sources Facebook page as well. You know? Guys, good morning. Good morning. How do you solve a problem like the PPP in Gaisuko? How do you solve a problem like that? And we cannot any longer bury our heads in the sand like the proverbial ostrich. But we got to face these issues head on. Head on. That's how we gotta face them. No shirking from one's responsibility. You know, don't do it. Don't do it. So, in this write-up, this editorial in Sabbath News, my God, as I said, history gonna be very unkind to them. The PPP installed regime, history gonna be very, very kind to them. You know, one of the things the editorial points out is the skeleton modernization project. The skeleton modernization project. Now, this was supposed to be the goose that lays the golden egg. This was supposed to be the flagship program of that era, where Jack Gauo walked around and telling everybody this thing can solve all the problems we got in this country. Not only we can get a greater production of sugar, a better yield, sugar canes and so on, but this skeleton sugar factory was supposed to produce energy as well, produce power for the quarantine. It never happened. Glory Chester, it never happened. Never happened. And that's why this editorial in today's Sabbath News is such required reading. And I've said it here a lot of times. One of the reasons why I like to use Sabbath News and publications like Sabbath News, because you can't say it's a bias like the New Nation may have, or you know, they can just assume you got a bias because it's the PNC newspaper, or is it the AFC Key, the newspaper of the AFC? But Sabbath News is an independent newspaper, very middle of the road. Very middle of the road. Sabbath News is lash everybody. Sabbath News has never said a kind thing about me in the existence of the paper. If they've said anything at all, it comes to the territory. It comes to the territory. But watch them going to come out swinging out Sabbath News, because this editorial will ensure that history is very harsh on the PPP. History going to be very harsh on them. Very, very harsh on them. So they zeroed in on this skeleton modernization factory that never produced a pound of sugar at profitability. And you all should know by heart now, we're producing sugar at $1.14 US cents, and the world market producing sugar at perhaps 14 US cents. So we're running a charity. Let's admit that. It's a charity that we're running. So Sabbath News takes issue with the management of GECOM and the industry on the whole, you know, stating that the skeleton modernization project, in the editorial's words, is one of the perhaps the most glaring example of overpromised and under-delivered reform. Now, when you hear about overpromised and under-delivered reform, what comes to mind? It's not a PPP. It's not a PPP. They show you how a lot of things start. You see? They show you how a lot of things start. You see the finish? They show you the ribbon cutting. They start turning. But you see the finish? And that's what the editorial in Sabbath News this morning speaks to with this skeleton modernization project, right? Overpromised, under-delivered. That sounds like the fiber optic cable. Sounds like the one laptop of family. And y'all could go on and on and on and on and on. They built a Borbridge Bridge how many years ago? They're ready to change it now. They're ready to scrap it. Right? Overpromised, under-delivered, underperform. Look at Heroes Highway falling apart. Look at Heroes Highway, Gloria, falling apart. Falling apart on us. Now, these are some of the things that is raised in this morning's editorial in Sabbath News. And rightfully so. So overpromised, under-delivered, underperformed. That's the hallmark of the PPP. The hallmark. And then the editorial you know, puts it in a very unique way. They understand the billions, 40, 50, 60, 70 billion dollars this government has thrown into Gaisuko, hoping to find a solution. Well, we got bankrupt this country before somebody accepts Gaisuko is not what it used to be. Maybe it could be something else, right? Cassava suko, soya suko, hemp suko, I don't know. Hempco, soyco, Kosovoco, I don't know. But it is not what it used to be. It is not this powerhouse, high employer, high foreign currency. It doesn't bring in that anymore. And look, Gloria, look, Janet, we understand. We all, Rudolph and others, Drusilla, right? We all not what we used to be. Chanel, you know this, right? You know this. We all not what we used to be. I told your Father's Day, I nearly spirit. Maybe that is why the good book says, when I was a child, I spake as a child, Claire Alexis Charlie. I understood things as a child. Now I'm older, I got put away. We all not what we used to be when we were, 19, Now that we're in our 30s, we're at a different age and stage. And is that, Marla, we're talking here. Huh? We're talking here. Shannon PPP is a course to the nation. That has not changed. Something's changed. That has not. So this editorial is making this point this morning. The nothing regular at Gaisuko, and listen to the analogy. Listen to the analogy. For every dollar spent on Gaisuko is one not spent on improving public health, education, infrastructure, or creating new high-paying jobs. For every cent spent on Gaisuko, because the thing ain't going no place. That is the larger point. That is the larger point that is being raised here. The thing is going nowhere. And, thanks to Starbuck News for having the courage to call it. Right? Thanks to Starbuck News for having the courage, the fortitude. Life is about stages. Do you know that Guyana, our country, used to be the cotton, the highest, largest cotton producer in the world at one time? Huh? We've had a lot of firsts in this country. Right? Way back in those days, I was reading I got a fantastic compilation of historical essays by Dr. McGowan, Vincent McGowan, I think it is. Fantastic compilations of historical essays. I think I was going through Austin's bookstore there and I saw it and said, come here, reading up on all this stuff. I believe what the historian said, but we're not there anymore. We're not there anymore. That's the point I'm making about Gaisuko. But them boys don't want to accept that. Andrew, when I was growing up, Diane, when I was growing up, right, I found something called C-Rex. You all remember C-Rex? It looked kind of like the way, if I remember correctly, the way cornmeal would look. What is that other thing we used to make for our kids? Wheat or something. Wheat up, is it wheat up? It looks something like that. But C-Rex, you could eat it dry, you could eat it wet, You could have put some sugar alone in it. I love it with some nice thick milk. Cerex. But oh gosh, Cerex gone. We can keep. How many of you remember Cerex? I'll show you how my age now. How many of you remember Cerex? You know, Cerex was something else. You get some Cerex down in you, right? A nice pot baked, hot with little butter. You got till 3 o'clock, you know. Right? You got till 3 o'clock. If you don't watch yourself, you're sleeping on the paperwork. Cerex will hold you up. Cerex just how we stand up here, you know. Cerex just how we stand up here. Talking about cotton. We were down in Baracara, and one of the young ladies, quote unquote, who accompanied us down in Baracara, she had on a green cotton shirt. She said, you know, there's a leader shirt. So as I heard people saying she got on the leader shirt, I said, what do you mean? The lady said, I got this shirt since Burnham was alive and we were producing cotton in this country, green. I didn't take a photograph. She said, this is the Comrade Leader shirt. She got that shirt and the cotton still stand up, you know. The cotton green shirt still stand up. Barely. I don't know if that was the original green, but I would say barely faded, if anything. The cotton got a hole, the cotton got a wrinkle. The cotton stand up like how some of we stand up here, thanks with the Cerex. But oh God, for whatever reason, we couldn't sustain. I couldn't probably buy enough Cerex to sustain the industry. So Cerex went by the wayside, you know. So much so, sugar. Now, Margaret, I know folks like you, health conscious. Man, I wish, look, there got some things you got to do before you die in this life, eh? Right? And you'll live. Right? Meet Margaret Nelson. Meet Margaret Nelson. I think my life has been made a little better just by meeting Margaret. Right? You know, you get to a certain age, you got to take care of yourself. You and using sugar. You know? I messed up my teeth because of that. I wasn't paying too careful attention when I was younger. You know, with the sweets. But the point is, you could get sugar cheaper from so many other sources besides sugarcane. So we still fighting with sugarcane to produce sugar at $1.14. The market buying sugar at 14 cents. But we still plunging more and more money into sugar. Not knowing like Cerex, it gone. Like cotton, it gone. That is a new reality. So here is Starbucks News making the point. For every dollar you spend on Gaisuko, one is not spent on improving healthcare. One is not spent on education. Dollar not spent on infrastructure or creating high-paying jobs for our kids. And then the third point it makes, which I think is very, very important, this is Gaisuko's continued survival as a political instrument is unsustainable. What it means, not because perhaps the majority of the workers in Gaisuko is the base for PPP. We got to keep plunging money into it because you don't want to disappoint them. What about the truth? Oh, shucks, but we can't talk about PPP, the truth, in the same sentence because that's an oxymoron. Some folks are saying oxymoron. You know, it depends on which school you went to. Right? The two things are in contradiction. PPP and honesty. They ain't got no integrity. But we have to face the reality. Sugar just does not command the place it used to be. It used to. Look, keep talking about coconut sugar, beet sugar, you know, honey sugar. You can get sugar from so many. Cheaper. Right? Here, Gilson, I ate Cerex when I trained at the Kama. And you know, Cerex guy, you stand up. You could just take a spoon of Cerex, put it in your mouth. Good to go. You mix a little sugar in that with a little water. Same thing. Right? But the real thing was you put some milk in that. My God. Cerex, look, you know, it's like a what do you say, an unrequited love. Many years later, you still remember, you still get a flashback. Oh my God. You know, and it excites you. That's Cerex. I just think about it, I taste it again. That's how far I'm showing my age now, folks. Pim. Stop using Gaisuko, the sugar industry, as a political instrument. That's the third important point I drew out from this editorial this morning. Stop it. That's what the editorial is saying. Gaisuko's continued survival as a political instrument is unsustainable, PPP. And that's why it's so interesting. And you know, over the last couple of weeks, we've examined this back and forth. But the PPP now saying, exactly what the last government was saying and doing. Right sizing. They're going into now cassava cultivation. You just get sugar from cassava? Cassava co. I don't know. Soya production, soya co. You just get sugar from soya? I don't know. Anything is possible, I guess. Hemp. Listen, cannabis. You smiling whole day when you get a cannabis sugar. That hemp sugar. Nice time whole day, folks. My God. Cocaine. That's what cocaine sugar. You're laughing and smiling to yourself whole day. Huh? What is this? Right? I see Kevin saying, might as well give the land your thing planting. You cultivate planting for planting chip. You see the cost planting fetching in the market? When you and your wife go for buy planting now, you got to say, well, Shopma, you can keep she. I can take a 4 pounds. I can take a 10 pounds. You can hold on for the old girl. If she can fetch a 10 pound. You know? Right? When last you the pack of saldanza? When last you the pack of saldanza? Planting expensive. Planting expensive. Are we importing saldanza, I think, from Trinidad as a planting chip? Lovely package, but it's still fried planting. Right? And they got it in all flavors. Well, they got it in with a little sprinkle of pepper and so on. They got a ripe plantain version. I like that version. The ripe plantain, you know, ripe plantain chip. Right? And we making styles. So this is what they're doing, the right sizing. They are right sizing. The shame to say that the thing is going down. So they're trying to make it look nice, you know? Look, Margaret telling us about cannabis tea bag. You see that? I could imagine Margaret and Rio just smiling with each other whole day after, after the cannabis tea bag, you know? Smiling whole day. But it is what it is. That is the point I'm making. It is what it is. And then the next thing we're following, folks, again, thanks to Starbucks News, is this report, a recent report that was produced by an international agency that talks to us a little bit about what's happening on the ground here, because you all know we always get implicated into everything that's not good. The Caribbean Development Bank has a new study out which talks about the impact of the procurement delays locally on development, the oversight gaps on development. Take Heroes Highway, for instance. Who signed off on that? Finish. And the road deteriorating, you know. Who did that? Oversight gaps, weak capacity, undermining development projects. This is your friends your family and your favorites. So a fantastic study by the Caribbean Development Bank that says that we got a long way to go. Because all of those metrics that I've highlighted there, we're failing all of them. Failing all of them. So the fact is, again, the cutting ribbon, the turning the sun, but Guyanese not getting value for dollar spent. That's the crux of the matter. Guyanese are not getting value for dollar spent. And that's the tragedy. So we're just wasting money in this country. One road got to build 3-4 times. Is that fair to Guyanese? If one road got to build 3-4 times, it means that is not money available for healthcare. That's not money available for improved salaries. So your friends get to eat 4 times. And the Guyanese here, we eat once. Is that fair? That's not fair. So this interesting report captured by Sabuk News concerning this new study out of the IDB that says, look, we're wasting time. Corruption too much in this place. Friends, dear friends, look, do not act like people without a hope. Right? Don't do it. Do not act like a people without a hope. September 1, 2025, y'all will have an opportunity of a lifetime to respond to all of this. Please, make a plan to vote. Make sure your name on the list. Make sure you know where you're voting, which polling station. Don't wait till election morning, then you go into a list to find out. And then when you think you're voting in South, you're halfway across town, thanks to the PPP trying to disenfranchise you. So check where you're voting. Make a plan. How I get into the poll. You know, you're booming a ride with a neighbor, upstairs or downstairs or at the back. You're going to offer a ride to somebody too. Make a plan about how you're going to vote, folks. And while I'm there, let me remind you of this launch of the APNU Coalition campaign on the 6th of July. And then we got nomination day coming up on the 14th too. And both of them, we need your presence, boots on the ground.
We ready, time to remove the
Guyana, this is it, the launch of the APNU Coalition campaign on Sunday, July 6th on the Square of the Revolution from 4 p.m. Come meet our candidates. Come out and hear about our people-centered development strategy that puts people first. Come hear from our Prime Ministerial candidate, Jurita Fernandez, our presidential candidate, Aubrey C. Norton, and others. On Sunday, July 6th from 4 p.m., the Square of the Revolution will vibrate with a people-powered campaign. APNU, putting people first.
We ready, time to remove the curse. I'm feeling it now.
Yeah, welcome back, folks. I just wanted to point out those two things there for us. That very, very interesting report out of the Caribbean Development Bank that says what we all that we always know, that at 5:30, the infamous 5:30 meeting revealed it's bare chaos and confusion, and Guyanese are not getting value for dollars spent. And then the editorial of the Sabuk News as well, that this sugar industry is in shambolics, and is going nowhere in a hurry based on what is required and what the PP is capable of. It's not going to go any place in a hurry. And that is why, folks, that is why you all got to make a plan to vote, go out there and vote resoundingly for the APNU Coalition. What it is. You know, what is it? That's what you got to do. I want to bring up the speed with some other things too, because we got a lot of things happening and we got to, you know, walk and chew gum at the same time. We got to walk and chew gum at the same time. Look what's happening in Haiti. Was Nathan just the other day chairman of CARICOM and celebrating mission accomplished in Haiti just because they had an interim committee in? Well, a new report says, folks, shortfall in troops, shortfall in funds, shortfall in gains might negative shortfall in gears rather, might negative whatever gains have already been made. You know, Haiti has a lot of gangs. The capital, they tell us, is overrun by gangs. Barbecue and his boys. And this is what this report is telling us. That lots of the efforts on the ground could come to naught because of all of these matters. You know, they need more troops, they need more funds, they need more gears. It's like civil war in this country now. How long are we going to allow that to go on? How long you got Kenyan troops there? How long they want to be there? You know? So, quite an interesting turn of events when you saw some folks waving a white flag and saying, mission accomplished, quite recently. And then now, locally, after them boys, they've been getting some serious pushback. It's now they run out saying that we take the presence of Venezuelan migrants in our country seriously. When we've been on the tails for how much ever months or years, you know, for a registry for these migrants. You know, we got to know who's here and their capabilities and what they're here for as well. Please and thank you. But of course, these boys mean to pad the list. Right? These boys mean to pad the list. Listen, we know a house in a particular area. 92 people living inside. And I think I was made to understand recently they got up to 140. In one house, it's padding the list. It's getting set to pad the boxes, folks. They're getting set to pad the boxes. You understand? That is what they're getting ready to do. And now they're running like they care. Oh, we care about the presence of Venezuelans. I mean, our neighbors are falling in hard times. We'd love to help. But you got to toe the line. You got to toe the line. You can't come in we house and be more extra than we. What is it? You pay the rent here? And somebody give you the deed, the title, the transport? So humble it. Humble it. But we know there's no genuineness where this is concerned. Businessman Azruddin Mohammed, presidential candidate of WIN, heads back to court on the 8th of July to tell us in this tax fraud case, in which we know now that Arfan Ali helped to facilitate the Lamborghini being cleared. What a country we're living in, folks. What a country we are living in. What a country we're living in. And then GECOM. I'm happy, I welcome this. The UNDP and GECOM had a strategic communications workshop quite recently. But it's a pity the GECOM is not doing this kind of work all year round. You got to wait till it gets an election to get it done. When this time that you're using to do that, you could have been focused on other important things as well. But it now seems that GECOM is crawled out from under a rock, and they had this engagement with the UNDP and this strategic communications workshop. And I hope from that we see more information coming out of GECOM, because a lot of people still have a lot of questions as to exactly what is happening and how we're going to move forward. Lots of these small parties, for instance, we showed you folks just last evening, are very, 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 very concerned about this joining list business, and GECOM not seem to be too clear itself, having rejected the legal opinion of its former legal counsel, Kurt De Silva, attorney at law Kurt De Silva, having rejected that legal advice, because you see, they want to write legal advice, give it to him and say, give it back to us as your legal advice. But, you know, professional people don't want to operate that way. What we're saying here is that these things should have happened much earlier. GECOM should have come out from under the rock it's been hiding under and behind much earlier. And so this time they're using to do this now. Could have been time using to do other things to make the thing more practical. Show us what you learn in this thing. And the public education campaign out of GECOM, it is so poor. There's another P word I want to put in front of poor, but it's an early morning show. And I won't get you on in the wrong frame of mind at all. But the small parties have been complaining. Take a listen.
The smaller parties contesting the elections have met with the Guyana Elections Commission on the issue of the join the list. The join the list involves the smaller parties whose combined votes may qualify them for a seat in the National Assembly. Beverly Alert, an executive member of the Alliance for Change, was at that meeting.
Questions were raised by a few of the smaller parties, specifically what happens after the votes would have been totaled, should that join a list of small parties be eligible to name a representative to sit in the National Assembly. Which party would have that responsibility?
She said that still fresh in the memory was the action by Dr. Asha Kissoon. Dr. Kissoon entered Parliament on a joined seat, entered the House when a member of the joined list resigned and refused to vacate the seat when the time came.
Their question basically was who will be the party or the representative to name that person. And this derives from what happened with Asha Kissoon, who was squatting in the parliament.
Alert said that there were legal opinions.
The Ghana Elections Commission has not thoroughly, if at all, examined that issue. And so Ghana Elections Commission at yesterday's meeting could provide no advice for those small parties or for any of the parties sitting there. Now, compound with that, Ghana Elections Commission does not have a legal officer.
She contended that GECOM isn't ready for the elections.
So welcome back, folks. So clearly some concerns there from the smaller parties. And lots of this work they're now trying to engage in should have been done a long time ago. But like we said, they now seem to be coming out from under some rock. And look, one letter right in today's press makes this point about the quality of leadership that we shouldn't be risking this country on. They're saying that President Ali seemed to have a consistent track record on matters similar to Lamborghini Gate. You could message them, and if the price is right, they could clear this for you and clear that for you. It's one syndicator here, It's one giant syndicator. It's not a political party. It's a syndicato that you have, and fantastic letter in today's press. And then, folks, as we hasten to the finish line, we'll give you about 40 minutes this morning because I know you guys want to run off to some other business. The petty way that Jaguar is. Why are we back here as it concerns state ads and so on, and especially Starbucks News? But this is how they try to choke you. This is how they try to choke dissent and an independent voice, right? By denying you what you have a right to as a Guyanese business. Now, according to the law, the government has to advertise in all of these major papers. We got a big audience here. They got to throw some of that money by us too, right? But the Starbucks News gone ahead, do the work, and now when the time comes to get it paid, they hold on to the money. Now they can pick up a phone and say, "Look, pay these people quick." And that would have been happened. That would have happened 72 hours ago. And now they come out saying that this is not political pressure on Starbucks News. It is precisely what it is. Why we got to own Starbucks News and we got $1 trillion economy, $1 trillion budget? Why we got to own Starbucks News? But this, folks, is the political mischief. A political mischief is them trying to get some nice headlines and so on out of Starbucks News. But I hope that Starbucks News holds. I hope they hold. I hope hold Starbucks News hold a focus. Look, promises. They can't point to anything. This is the current government that they've actually done. They're now trying with domestic violence, gender-based violence. How many of our women have died in this way for the last 5 years? Too many, perhaps more than have died in the Ukraine-Russia conflict. Right? The onus is upon us. We know that domestic violence, in the spouse and so on, violence, how it plagues this country. And we're here playing footsie. We're there playing footsie. As again, trying to fix some of these problems. And folks, penultimately, look this. Government to create easy access to financing for the private sector. Easier access. Yeah, after 5 years. What have they been doing? Let us be honest, folks. What have they been doing? They can't show you anything. We start and we finish. Everything is riddled with setbacks. Beset by mistakes. What's going on in this country? What's happening? Right? Look, people complain about just this morning, somebody was telling me about the East Bank Road and how the East Bank Road has become treacherous. People now complain about the Mahaika Highway. All of the inconveniences, the shoddy work that is being done. Check out this letter in today's Sabbath News concerning the Mahaika Highway. Check it out. Tell me if you're going in the right direction. We got to arrest the kleptocracy. Arrest it. All of the money that go in corrupt activities and so on. It's monies that don't go directly to the citizens of this country. And that is part of what we got to change. That is part of what we change. As I said, I don't want to keep you folks longer than I need to this morning because we did start a tad bit late. It's 9:20 where I am, and we've clocked in 40 minutes on this program, folks. We're going to leave it there until we join you guys later on in the day on our next broadcast. But I want to say to you, if you're going to be in town today, you may see an APNU coalition truck. As we start, as we continue the push to general and regional elections 2025, folks, September 1, and that truck, that caravan is going to be announcing the launch of the campaign on the 6th, and also the nomination day on the 14th. So look for that caravan in your community, and if you hear us outside, wherever you are, folks, do step out and say hello. Do step out and shake. Give us a wave or something. So look forward to that, folks. We're going to be over the next few days making some stops in many communities across this country, alerting you guys as to what's in the agenda. Number one, you got the campaign launch on the 6th, and then you got nomination day on the 14th, folks. And then several people right now are involved in lots of pit stops, lots of whistle stops throughout the country, making the arguments for the APNU coalition. We're going to see you guys back on our next podcast. Let us do it for us this morning. Folks, I hope that your day is off to a fantastic start. And thanks for joining us, all of you. That's our time, folks, and that's our broadcast. Folks, remember once you can, remember how much we need your support, especially in this period. Please and thank you. We keep sharing with you a very, very secure link from this international company Stripe, and you click on that. It gives you the option of whatever your bank information is, whether you want to do a transfer to us from your bank, Zelle, Cash App, whatever it is. It offers you a number of options, and we need your support. Thank you, Mr. Harmon, for your kind and generous support, which will keep us moving forward in the right direction, and all the other folks who are coming on with us. Folks, don't ignore the link. Don't ignore the link. Saying happy birthday to me on Monday is one thing, but helping us to move this process forward, folks, is most important. I mean, enable us to be with you guys here for many, many years to come. So thank you, folks, in advance. That link is coming by your end. We're going to see you guys on the next podcast. Take care. That's our time, and that's our program. Winston says no coalition, no vote. Read the comments. Good to see you there, and all the other folks. That's going to do it for us at this end. Stay